It's too quiet now, a silence so deep it seems to echo the memories of laughter, chaos, and the endless hum of activity that once filled these rooms. Kathy is out shopping. She tells me it's just for groceries, but I know her well enough to suspect she'll pick up a little something extra. A thoughtful token for the house, or maybe even a small surprise just for me. After all, in 24 years of marriage, she's always had that knack for caring in her own quiet way. And when I suddenly remember that in just 1 month we'll be celebrating 25 years, a quarter century of life together, it hits me harder than I expected. I recall a time not too long ago when I nervously fumbled with a ring in my pocket, trying desperately not to make a complete fool of myself as I planned my proposal. Now our kids, Jack and Emily, are off carving out their own lives at college. Jack is finishing his senior year. Emily just started sophomore year. The house, once alive with the pulsating energy of late-night music and rowdy curfews, now feels impossibly vast and lonely. There are days when it's just Kathy and me, and when she steps out, the quiet stares back at me like an unwelcome ghost. This morning, I decided to leave the comfort of my bed, though Kathy would probably chuckle at how I'm acting like some retired old-timer in mid-morning. I reached out for my bottle of vitamins on the nightstand, unscrewed the cap, and poured one out into my hand. But the pill slipped off, bounced off the table, and rolled beneath the bed. With an exasperated sigh, I got down on my knees and fumbled through the darkness under there. A darkness tainted with a musty aroma that wasn't there before. My fingers brushed against bits of lint and even an old sock that once belonged to Jack before he left. Then unexpectedly, I felt something thin and crinkly, a stray piece of plastic. Pulling it into the light, my heart sank as I realized it was a condom wrapper. For a long moment, I sat there stunned, holding that incongruous piece of evidence like it was an alien artifact. Confusion washed over me. No one else has been here. No parties, no guests. Just me and Kathy for the past 3 months. And then the searing thought hit me. I had a vasectomy after Emily was born. We had decided that 2 kids were enough. So why would a condom wrapper be lurking under our bed? That realization sent a surge of anger through me. Hot, sharp anger. But I knew it wasn't wise to explode right then. How could I slam down a confrontation with Kathy, brandishing a piece of plastic as if it were definitive proof? It wouldn't change anything. She'd only deny it or twist it back on me. I needed more than flimsy evidence before I could even think of confronting her. I got up, slipped into a pair of jeans and a shirt, grabbed my keys, and stepped out into the house that suddenly felt suffocating, every shadow now hiding potential treachery. I needed clarity, a sounding board, and I knew exactly who to call, my old friend Davy Jones. And no, I'm not talking about the pirate from the movies. This is the real Davy Jones, a seasoned private investigator whose nickname dates back to his Navy days. I trusted him implicitly. If anyone could unravel the truth, it'd be him. Walking into Davy's modest office, I found him relaxed, feet resting on his desk, a chipped coffee mug in hand. He looked up with a roguish grin and greeted me warmly. "Well, if it isn't Ben Miller," he said, motioning for me to sit. I hesitated. The words caught in my throat, then poured out the entire story. The condom wrapper, my gnawing suspicions, that relentless gut feeling I couldn't shake. Davy listened intently, nodding slowly, his eyes serious but reassuring. When I finished, he leaned back, stroking the sparse stubble on his chin, and said, "All right, Ben, I'll help you. Give me a week. I'll dig up everything we need. But listen, before we go down this road, you need to think about the consequences. Talk to a lawyer and understand what you're risking. If this all blows up into divorce, prepare yourself for every outcome." I swallowed hard. "Yeah," I murmured, "I'll do that." Davy clapped a firm hand on my shoulder. "We'll get to the bottom of this, buddy." I nodded, left his office with that damning wrapper still burning a hole in my pocket, and 2 hours later found myself sitting in the austere office of Butch Reed, the sharpest divorce lawyer in town. Butch's piercing eyes fixed on me as he scrutinized my situation like a hawk eyeing its prey. "Ben," he said after a moment of silence, flipping through his legal notes, "if this goes the way you fear, you're looking at losing everything. Assets, savings, the house, all split 50-50 thanks to California's community property laws." His words hit me like a sucker punch. a reminder that half of everything I'd worked for was at stake. Despite the gut-wrenching betrayal and the crushing cost of divorce, one thing became crystal clear. I couldn't remain married to someone who had shattered my trust. Butch leaned in, his voice low and measured. If you're serious about this, keep your head cool. Don't let her suspect you're on to her, or she'll lawyer up too, and that'll only complicate matters. I promised to do my best, though inside the betrayal battered me relentlessly. Leaving his office, I steeled myself for the cold act I'd need to maintain. Back at home, Kathy was in the kitchen methodically chopping vegetables, her bright smile as normal as ever when she saw me. The sight clawed at my chest, but I forced a smile. "I've got a business trip tomorrow," I said casually as I leaned against the counter. "I'll be gone all week." That night, as Kathy slid into bed beside me, her hand brushing mine with a tenderness that once meant everything, I couldn't bring myself to be close. "Come on," she murmured softly, but I barely managed. "I'm tired." Her sigh filled the bed as she turned away, and there I lay in darkness, staring at the ceiling, tormented by what-ifs and the knowledge that everything was crashing down. I couldn't shake the questions. What if that wrapper wasn't proof of her betrayal? What if it belonged to Jack? Maybe it fell out from his pocket during one of his late-night returns. But as doubt warred with certainty in my mind, the fear of Kathy cheating on me proved too overwhelming. I wasn't ready to step back. I needed answers. I got up carefully the next morning, packed a small bag, and booked a cab. Kathy barely stirred as I left the house, the soft rhythm of her breathing following me out the door. The drive to the outskirts of town was uneventful, a quiet escape from the painful memories lurking in every corner of my life. I checked into a rundown motel, a place as nondescript as my shattered heart, and dropped my bag onto the creaking bed. The peeling wallpaper, the sterile silence of the room, all of it echoed the isolation I felt. It was near evening when my phone buzzed. Davy was calling urgently. "Ben, Kathy just left the house. She's checked into a motel." My heart skipped a beat. "Which one?" I asked, dread knotting in my stomach. He paused, then said, "The same motel where you're staying." I sat on the edge of that creaky bed, heart pounding, as the reality of Kathy being in the very next room set in like lead. When Davy called again, his voice steady yet insistent, he warned, "Listen, don't confront her. This isn't the time or place. Just step out, let it cool down." But my anger and need for truth wouldn't let me comply. "I need to know," I insisted, my voice heavy with strain. Davy's sigh crackled through the line. "Fine, but please don't do anything reckless. Promise me you'll be careful." My trembling fingers clutched the phone as seconds stretched into eternity. Then, through the thin motel wall came muffled voices. Kathy's unmistakable laugh mingled with a man's deep, even familiar voice. At first I couldn't discern the words, but soon enough it became clear. They were entangled in acts too intimate, too raw, and worse, laden with contempt. "I don't know why you're still with him," the man sneered. "He's washed up, can't satisfy you, can he?" Kathy's breathless reply was equally charged. "No, he can't. You're the best I've had in a while." A cruel laugh followed, and then she demanded, "I need him just to keep the bills paid. Now shut up and do your job." Frozen on the edge of despair, every muscle in my body tensed as the bitter truth revealed itself. I couldn't bear the sound any longer. Rising, fists clenched, I was about to burst through the door when Davy re-entered. With a firm grip on my arm, he barked, "Don't, Ben! Not like this." His eyes were resolute. "Listen to me. She's left the window open. I've got my camera rolling. I'm recording everything. If you rush in now, you'll only derail your case, and it might even land you in jail." My vision blurred with rage as I muttered, "I don't care about the divorce anymore. I want her to pay." Davy stepped closer, unyielding. "You will, but not now. Think, Ben. If you lose control, you lose everything." Slowly the fighting anger ebbed away, replaced by a crushing grief that left me slumped on the bed, feeling completely broken. The woman I had loved for over 2 decades was in the next room, dismantling every part of our shared life. After a long, agonizing silence, I stood up, jaw set and voice trembling with cold resolve. "I'll have my revenge. She might take everything I own, but I won't allow her to shatter my soul." After Davy left, I spent the rest of that long, sleepless night pacing the bleak motel room, plotting the uncertain road ahead. According to our plan, I was to stay out for 3 days while Davy kept watch on Kathy, yet every minute felt like an eternity of torment. Later that night, as I anxiously paced, my phone buzzed and Davy's calm, methodical voice returned with more updates. She and the man have left the motel. I have a positive ID on him. His name's Roger Smith. He's a co-worker of Kathy's. The name stung painfully. Knowing that Kathy had betrayed me with someone from her own office cut deeper than I could have imagined. Davy continued, I'm keeping an eye on them. For now, just stick to the plan and don't make any moves. I barely managed to nod before hanging up, my mind racing with doubts and bitter resolve. The following hours were a punishing mix of waiting and checking my phone every few minutes. Each tick of the clock, a reminder of her betrayal. The next day, Davy called with transactional updates in a flat tone. She's been spending time with Roger after work at his place, meeting up, staying late for what appears to be more than just office chatter. I've got enough footage, Ben. I listened in silence, gripping the phone until my knuckles turned white. His final words stung like ice. She's been with him every day, sometimes even before heading back home. That afternoon, I met with Butch and Davy in Butch's office. The atmosphere was thick with tension as Butch, unflinching and stern, reminded me, Ben, go home and act normally. No confrontations, no slip-ups. Let her believe everything is fine. Meanwhile, Davy will continue gathering the evidence. The stronger your case, the better your position. I swallowed the lump in my throat and vowed internally, I'll keep my cool. With our final strategy hammered out, I left Butch's office feeling both mentally drained and determined to see this painful process through to the bitter end. When I finally came back home, Kathy was in the kitchen, her face lighting up as she saw me. You're back, she chirped, stepping forward for an embrace. I stepped back, raising my hand in a feigned gesture of nonchalance. I've been exposed to COVID today. Someone at work tested positive, and I'm not feeling great, I said, voice unconvincing but calm enough to keep suspicions at bay. Her expression shifted into concern and she asked, Are you all right? Do you have symptoms? I mumbled about a mild sore throat and insisted, I think it's best if I stay in the guest room for a few days to be safe. Kathy nodded, offering, Let me know if you need anything. Tea, soup, whatever. I forced a small smile and replied, Thanks, I'll manage, though inside I was anything but calm. A few days later, Kathy even asked if we should cancel our upcoming anniversary party. It's only a few weeks away, I reassured her, carefully keeping my tone neutral. I promised, I'll be fine in a few days, even as my thoughts churned with doubts and despair. When the phone buzzed on my nightstand later that evening, with another call from Davy, I knew more was coming. She had left her office for lunch and was at Roger's house again. This time, Davy sent me videos and pictures via email. Irrefutable visual evidence of Kathy stepping into Roger's home. Their bodies tangled in betrayal I never wanted to imagine. I stared at the phone in disbelief, and though a part of me wanted to lash out, I managed to say quietly, If I wasn't her husband, I might almost find this entertaining. But now, it makes me sick. Davy's measured reply was a small comfort. I know it's hard, Ben, but remember, hold on to your cool. This isn't over yet. We need all the evidence we can get. His words reminded me that there was no turning back now. In the days that followed, I isolated myself as planned, while Davy kept close tabs on Kathy's every move. The living room of our home, once filled with our shared memories and dreams, now became a stage set for a battle that seemed impossible to win. My kids called to confirm plans for the upcoming anniversary party, a phone call that briefly warmed my frozen heart. In those fleeting moments, I remembered happier times, even as the agony of deception pounded beneath my skin. Then came the day of the party, a night that was supposed to celebrate 25 years of shared life. I want to pause here for a moment and invite you, dear listeners, to join our journey by subscribing to our channel. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support truly means the world, and it reminds us we're all in this together. That evening, our house was abuzz with guests, friends, family, and even colleagues, each congratulating us, praising the years we'd built together. Kathy radiated her usual charm, smiling and laughing as she greeted everyone. I couldn't help but notice how intimately Roger and Kathy exchanged glances. He stood near, feigning casual conversation, while Kathy clung to me like a lifeline. I'd purposefully kept my workmates away, wanted this charade to continue without external complications. When questioned, I smoothly explained they were all busy in an important meeting. It wasn't a lie, it was just a small, creative truth. As the night gathered pace, Kathy's parents arrived, showering us with kind, congratulatory words. I forced expressions of gratitude, even as the truth of her betrayal weighed on me with crushing force. Kathy, meanwhile, never let go of my arm, her practiced smile a certifiable mask, hiding an undercurrent I was desperate to expose. And then, the turning point arrived. Just when I thought I couldn't bear the facade anymore, I signaled Davy and Butch. They made their entrance, a moment I'd meticulously built up for weeks. The lights dimmed, and all eyes turned to the giant screen installed for our celebration. Stepping up to the mic with my heart pounding like a drum, I began, "I'm grateful that everyone is here tonight. Every single one of you matters to both me and Kathy." Murmurs of approval rippled through the room. I continued, "I've been married to Kathy for 24 years and 6 months. Actually, 25 years. Kathy tried to interject softly, but I reassured her with a small, detached smile. "Let me explain." Then I gestured toward Davy, who stepped forward with a carefully wrapped gift, a portrait-sized package. "Please present this gift to my wife." As Kathy's father helped her unwrap it, the tension was unbearable, every second stretching into forever. The shock on Kathy's face when the image was revealed was exactly what I'd anticipated. There she was, caught on camera, in a compromising act with Roger. A scream erupted from her, piercing the heavy silence of the room, followed by an outcry from her father demanding answers. "Ben, what is the meaning of this? This is a sick joke," he bellowed. I held my composure, my voice steady and cold. "This isn't a joke. What you're seeing is a clear snapshot of the video I'm about to play." And as Davy hit a few buttons, the video filled the giant screen. Kathy's voice, distorted by shame, echoed through the room as she admitted, in a tone so detached it cut deeper than any knife, "I need him just to keep the bills running." The stunned silence that followed was almost suffocating, as every eye in the room fixated on me. Then a man in a sleek black suit stepped forward. Moving with a calm finality, he approached Kathy and simply said, "Mrs. Miller, you have been served." Kathy's face twisted between disbelief and fury as she reached out for the envelope, but she couldn't tear herself away from the reality unfolding. The same man moved on to Roger. "Mr. Smith, you have been served," he declared. Roger's eyes widened in a mix of shock and guilt. The man, methodical and unfeeling, then strode to the CEO, another key player in this tangled web, and handed him an envelope with the equally chilling words, "Mr. Thompson, you have been served." I then took a deep breath, locking eyes with each offender. This lawsuit is for failing to uphold the company's moral code and for alienating the very foundation of my marriage. Mr. Smith, you're being served for breaking my marriage, and Kathy, you're served for divorce. Every word landed with the finality of a gavel hitting wood. Kathy's eyes widened, her lips trembling as she struggled to process the fact that everything had come crashing down in this public spectacle. After that shocking night, the days that followed felt like an endless wait. A waiting game filled with anger, regret, and a sense that nothing would ever be the same. Kathy's parents were relentless. Over and over, they pleaded with me, "Ben, you don't understand. Kathy's been through so much. You two have built a life. Don't throw away 24 years without giving her another chance." But I was certain. The betrayal had cut too deep. I had given Kathy enough chances already. Despite their heartfelt pleas, I knew there was no coming back. Yet Kathy fought back in court with a strange excuse. At the hearing, tears glistened in her eyes as she pleaded, "Ben, please, I have a hormone imbalance. I needed more passion because you couldn't provide that." I stared in disbelief. Even Butch, my lawyer, challenged her. "Ms. Miller, you never mentioned this hormone issue. There are no records to support your claim." The judge leaned forward, stern and unyielding. "If such an issue existed, why did you not inform your husband, especially when it was tearing your marriage apart?" Kathy fell into silence. the absurdity of her defense lost in the courtroom's cold logic. And with those words, the judge concluded the case. There was no room for reconciliation. In the aftermath of the divorce, both my personal life and financial world were shattered. Jack and Emily, caught in the middle of their parents' implosion, withdrew into silence. They were angry at Kathy for her betrayal and at me for laying everything bare. Their distance left an aching void that nothing could fill. The settlement, though painful, left me with exactly half of what we'd built together. Kathy walked away with her share, and though my assets were reduced, I held on to my dignity and self-respect as the only things that mattered. Roger found himself in his own legal battles, fighting for a divorce from his wife, while the CEO scrambled to manage the public fallout. In a final twist, I received an anonymous call from the CEO himself, offering $1 million to have the case dropped, a final attempt to buy silence and closure. I eventually accepted, not out of greed or revenge, but in the hope of finally ending the chaos and starting afresh. Now, 3 years later, I sit on the porch of my humble farmhouse, watching the sun melt into a palette of oranges, pinks, and purples. A final salute to the past and a welcome to a quieter life. The air is crisp, the world muted here, far from the storm that once ruled my days. My faithful companions, 2 loyal German shepherds named Max and Duke, rest nearby, their vigilant eyes reminding me that I'm not alone on this rugged journey. Tending to my small farm, mending fences, feeding chickens, and working the land, I've discovered a different kind of satisfaction. Life here moves with a gentle rhythm, each moment savored rather than rushed. And in a surprising turn, my estranged kids have started to visit. Jack and Emily, now older and wiser in their own right, have tentatively begun to break down the walls between us. We talk about the farm, moments of simpler conversation replacing the weight of our former life. As for Kathy, I've heard through the grapevine that she's moved in with her parents and is seeking therapy to grapple with her own demons. I won't pretend I'm filled with vindictive anger. I have learned that holding on to rage only cements you in the past. I've let go of bitterness. I still feel the hurt, but I have found solace in this peaceful, slow-paced life. Every morning I wake up to the soft chirping of birds, the gentle rustling of leaves, and the comforting bark of my dogs. I have everything I need here, a purpose, some semblance of peace, and even the gradual rebuilding of relationships with my children. After all the storms, I've come to understand that sometimes the only way to truly heal is to move on and embrace a quieter, simpler existence. Thank you for following along with this journey. If you found this story compelling, please consider subscribing to our channel, and don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Your support helps us bring more real stories and honest moments like these to audiences across the country. Every story leaves its mark on us. Mine is etched with betrayal, heartbreak, and the slow healing of a once shattered life. And now, as I watch the last rays of sunlight turn the horizon into a tapestry of hope, I know that despite the scars, I have found a way to live again, with dignity and a quiet strength. This is my story, a testament to resilience, the cost of trust, and the hope that, even in the aftermath of shattered promises, we can find a peaceful place to start anew.